Hey guys, this third video is going to be dealing with the Parshanut that we saw, the Ad Ramah, the Meiri, the Rashi, the Rambam, and for 11.21, the Magid Mishnah. Hopefully we get through it all in this video. If not, we'll have a fourth video. So, to refresh us, the Ad Ramah and the Meiri, we're talking about the case of clearing off the pile of stones. So the Gemara had said that if it's a damim lo thief, it's a thief who has blood, a thief who is allowed, who is a thief who you're not allowed to kill, you have to save them, whether it's a weekday or Shabbat. They're like any other regular person, and you save their life on Shabbat. But the Gemara doesn't talk about what about if it's a dangerous thief? What if it's a thief that we say ein lo damim, that you're allowed to kill them? So if a dangerous thief, a threatening thief, gets caught in the tunnel, what do you do? So we'll see the opinion of the Ad Ramah and the Meir. The Ad Ramah says, Aval, unlike the Gemara, imba al iskei nefashot, if he came for murderous purposes, dealing with nefashot, with lives, he came with an intention to perhaps kill you if necessary, afilu bechol, even on a weekday, obviously, and saying nothing for Shabbat, even on a weekday, ein mefakhin alav et hagal. You do not clear the stones off of him. The Ad Ramah is saying that if this thief was dangerous, if you were allowed to kill this thief, if he had broken into your house, you do not need to save him. You don't need to clear off the pile, even on a weekday. His reason is daha nitan, because you were allowed lahargo, to kill him below hatra'ah, without a warning. That this thief, if he had made it into your living room, you could have shot him dead immediately, no warning given. So the fact that you could do that means, obviously, the Ad Ramah is saying, so clearly you don't need to save his life. You could have killed him 10 seconds later if the tunnel hadn't collapsed. So you're just doing the same thing you would have done anyway. This thief is dying, and the thief broke into your house, and the thief is dying. Who cares if it's because he made it through the tunnel and you shot him, or because the tunnel collapsed on him and he died? So the Ad Ramah is saying, because, let's answer these questions. What does the Ad Ramah say about the situation of an ein lo damim thief, a dangerous thief who gets caught under a pile of rocks? The Ad Ramah says, even on a weekday, obviously you don't violate Shabbat, but even on a weekday, don't save him. You need to save him because his reason is nitan lahargo below hatra'ah. You were allowed to kill him without a warning. You were allowed to just shoot him dead. So the fact that that's true means that clearly you don't need to save him even on a weekday. His life, as far as you're considered, was as good as over. Who cares if it happens right after the tunnel or in the tunnel? The Meiri has a different approach. Yira'eli, it seems to me that this idea, shezesha armarnu, that which we've said, alav, about him, meaning haba'al iskei nefashot b'Shabbat, someone who comes and a dangerous thief who comes on Shabbat. So when we said earlier, in part we didn't see of the Meiri, when we said that maybe you don't break Shabbat to save a dangerous thief, Perusho, that's explanation is b'safek chai safek mate. That only applies if you're not sure if the thief is alive or dead. So if it's a dangerous thief who you were allowed to kill, if they made it into your house, if you're not sure if they're alive, you can't tell, you can't hear anything, maybe they're alive, maybe they're dead, then don't break Shabbat. Then maybe you don't want to break Shabbat for nothing because maybe this guy is dead already. Aval, and this is where it's extremely different from the Ad Ramah, imhu vadai chai, if this dangerous thief, is for sure alive, vadai, meaning clearly, if he's for sure alive, you can hear him calling for help, omer anisha mifaklin. I, the Meiri, say that you have to clear off the pile, you have to save the thief. Even though he was dangerous before, you would have been allowed to kill him, you save him, even on Shabbat. Shaharei achshav, because now, a no rodef, this guy who before, maybe we said a rodef is someone who's chasing after someone to kill them, and they're threatening someone's life, you're allowed to kill that person, to kill the rodef. But right now, this thief who's stuck in the pile, a no rodef, is not a threat. He's not a danger to anyone's life. He's stuck. He can't move. How can you say that this guy stuck in the pile of rocks is considered a rodef, is considered a threat to someone? Shaharei zeh, that this case of someone stuck in the pile of rocks, stuck in the tunnel, is similar to a different case in the Gemara. Kirodef, he's like a rodef achar chavero. This is similar to a case of someone chasing someone else. V'hatzilehu be'echad me'evarav. We have down here, you saved him by cutting off, damaging, breaking one of his limbs. So the case is Ruvain is chasing Shimon, and you were able to stop Ruvain by breaking his leg. So if you did that, Ruvain's been neutralized. Ruvain, he's in so much pain, he can't run anymore, he can't hold a gun or a sword or whatever it would be. She'ein lo or od lahorgo. Once you have neutralized the rodef by breaking one of his legs, ein lo od, you are no longer allowed to lahorgo, to kill him. Before he was neutralized, when Ruvain was just chasing after Shimon, you could have killed Ruvain. But if you saved him by breaking his leg, you can't say, oh, Ruvain was a threat, and now I'll kill him. No, he's been neutralized. So the Meiri is saying that allowing this guy who's in the tunnel is exactly the same as this other case where of a neutralized threat. And the rule is when it comes to a neutralized threat, you can't kill him. Just like you couldn't kill Ruvain after you broke his leg and he's been neutralized, you can't kill this thief after they've been neutralized. And he's clearly been neutralized. He's stuck in the tunnel. He can't move. And the Meiri says, "V'zek harigabi adayimhu." This is the same thing as killing him with your own hands. You have the ability to save him. You choose not to. You might as well have murdered him yourself. So the Meiri is saying, because we know the rule in a different Gemara of that you already broke the Rodef's leg, you can't kill them. That also means you can't kill the thief. You can't kill a neutralized threat, and letting this thief die in the tunnel is the same thing as killing a neutralized threat. So to review quickly, what does the Meiri say about the situation of an Ein Lo Damim thief who gets caught under a pile of rocks? Is that as long as you're sure he's alive, you save him no matter what. It doesn't matter if he was dangerous or not, because even if he was dangerous, he's not dangerous right now. And we kind of fast forward. What is his reason? The reason is that he's neutralized. He's no longer a Rodef, and if he's no longer a Rodef, you can't kill him. And letting him die is the same thing as killing him. And just a quick recap of this thought question we discussed. What is the machloket really about? Maybe the machloket is really about what does it mean to let someone die. The Meiri says the Gemara is very clear. You can't kill a neutralized threat. The Yad Ramah would say you're not killing a neutralized threat. You're just letting a neutralized threat die, and he would have died anyway. Where the Meiri is saying, the Meiri says v'zek harigabi adayimhu. Letting him die is like killing him yourself. That there's a little bit of a disagreement about your responsibility to the thief. Is this dangerous thief a threat, and we don't really care about him? It's his fault. He's in the situation. I'm not going to do anything to help him. Or like he made a mistake, but he's a person. He's treated like everyone else. If he's a threat, then we'll kill him. But if he's not a threat, then we save him. Continue now with Rashi on worksheet 5.7. Rashi had been talking about the line of the Gemara, Bamachteret zohi hatra'ato, that the second Breita at the end of the Gemara had said that the tunnel, the word Bamachteret, the fact that the pasuk says Bamachteret, the fact that the word has a little bit of an extra word of the tunnel, even though it applies in all cases, whether it's a roof or a backyard, that the tunnel serves as his warning. So let's read Rashi. She'eino tzarich hatra'a acheret, that the thief does not need eino tzarich hatra'a acheret, any other warning. Ela horgo miyad. Rather, you are allowed to kill him miyad, immediately. Dekevan, since ditarach, the thief troubled, umasar nashe, and risked his life, lachtor, to dig. So since this was a long, arduous process, that it took time and planning, and it was risky, adata dahachi ata. We know im hadaat shelzeh huba. We know that the thief came with this knowledge, meaning he came with the knowledge of if there's a confrontation. Sounds familiar. It's from the beginning of the Gemara that we saw in worksheet 5.2. That if he's going to get in my face, if there's going to be a confrontation, I'll kill him. V'amra Torah, as we saw in the Gemara, the Torah says, Kivan derodefu, since he's threatening your life, Eino tzarich hatra'ah, you don't need to warn him, Ella matzilino tov b'nafsho. You can save yourself with his life. So this first half is Rashi is basically saying that because a tunnel is such a long, arduous, risky process, it's clear what the thief is thinking. This took forethought, this took planning, it was not a coincidence, it was not just a impulsive decision. We know exactly what the thief is thinking. And since we know what the thief is thinking, we know what's on his mind because it's clear that this took time and effort and planning. Therefore, we know that this is intentional. He has the intention to kill you if he needs to. He's a rodef, and a rodef does not need a warning. Aval nichnas l'chatzero v'gago derech hapetach. But let's say someone comes in through a pre-existing doorway. He just came in through the fence in your backyard, or he wanders into your backyard. He's trespassing. He's not allowed to be there, but a no horgo ad she'itru bo be'edim. A no horgo, you cannot kill him. Ein laharogoto ad until she'itru bo, from the word hatra'ah, you warn him be'edim, with witnesses. So Rashi saying, if that was a tunnel is a long, risky, pre-planned process. But if he comes in derech hapetach, an important phrase, if he comes in just through an opening, you can't kill him unless you have warning, you have witnesses, because, but below hatra'ah lo. If there's no warning, you can't kill a thief who comes in derech hapetach. And Rashi is going to explain why. The dilma, because perhaps, maybe, lav adata dinafashod ka'ati. Lo im hada'at, he did not come dinafashod, without the intention, the knowledge of killing someone, ka'ati, huba, he came. Maybe the guy who comes in derech hapetach, the guy who comes in through the fence in your backyard, he didn't come in with the intention to kill anyone. That wasn't part of his plan. It wasn't like this premeditated idea. Ela de ashkach pitcha lahedya. But rather, he found ashkach, pitcha, a petach, an opening, lahedya, in front of him. This guy was just walking down the street and he saw a fence. He was like, oh, maybe I'll go in that fence, see if I can grab something. But the al adata, but with the knowledge, his plan is to ikai ba'apeh. If there's a confrontation, if he gets in my face, the homeowner gets in my face, lipok, to run away. That this thief who came in derech hapetach, if I saw someone just walk through my backyard fence, maybe this wasn't a whole pre-thought plan that they know exactly what the stakes are, that I'm going to have to kill the homeowner, and therefore the thief is a rodef. Maybe this guy just came, he saw a door and thought, maybe I'll grab something, maybe I'll see a wallet or some money or some jewelry. And he didn't come with the intention to kill you. So therefore Rashi is saying that derech hapetach is very different from a machteret. A machteret, where you dig your own opening, you dig a tunnel, you blast through the doorway, you blow up a wall. That took planning, that took forethought. And clearly you've thought out the plan, and your plan is that you're going to kill the homeowner if you need to. But if someone just comes in through a door or through a fence, derech hapetach, you can't assume that they're dangerous. And since you can't assume that they're dangerous, you can't kill them without a warning. Maybe this is just, they didn't realize the house was occupied, they didn't realize what they were doing. You need a warning because they're not as, someone who's clearly dangerous, like someone who's coming in through a tunnel doesn't need a warning, but someone who's coming in derech hapetach, where it's not so clear that they're dangerous, Rashi says they do need a warning. On worksheet 5.8, 11.24, you didn't see this Magid Mishnah down here, so you can stop watching after the Rambam. The Rambam took a little bit of a different approach than Rashi did when it came to this idea of a warning. The Rambam just said, "Ve'echad haba bamachteret." It's one who comes through a tunnel. O ganav shenimtza betoch gago, or a thief who is found on the roof shel adam, on the roof of a person, o betoch chatzero, or in your chatzer, o betoch karpipo, or in your alleyway, bein bayom, bein balayla, whether it's day or night, these rules apply. So the Rambam is saying that the rules of a tunnel, a backyard, a roof, it's all the same. Why does it say machteret? Lefi sherov ganavim haganavim lavo b'machteret balayla. That he's kind of favoring the first breita, that he doesn't mention anything about, the tunnel is a warning. Rashi had said that these are actually quite different cases, that a tunnel serves as a warning. A machteret, which has there's no petach, where the thief creates the opening himself, that's very different from a case of finding someone betoch chatzero, finding someone in your backyard. In the backyard, they could have just gotten there, as Rashi said, derech hapetach. So Rambam clearly takes a very different approach from Rashi, at least at the outset. 11.21, we'll see the Magid Mishnah says it's not so simple, but the regular interpretation of the Rambam is that the Rambam then mentions no distinction between a tunnel and a backyard or a gate or anything like that. If you're in my house, I can kill you. 11.24, you can stop watching now. And 11.21, let's read the Magid Mishnah. So the beginning of the Magid Mishnah simply quotes Rashi. So the Rashi said that Lefi da'at habraita zo, according to this braita, haba b'chatzer o gago b'karfeif derech hapetach tzarich hatra'ah. According to Rashi, according to the second braita, where it says machtarto zohi hatra'ato, there's a difference between someone in your backyard and someone who came in through a tunnel, because someone who came in ba b'chatzer derech hapetach, through an opening, tzarich hatra'ah. They need a warning before you kill them. Rabbeinu zal lo chilek, but Rabbeinu, the Magid Mishnah, the commentary on the Rambam made no such distinction. The efshar shehu sover, it's possible that he thinks, the Rambam thinks, shahabraitot cholkot. Maybe the first braita and the second braita in the Gemara just disagree with each other, and he follows the first one. Shabraita harishona ein la chelek, that according to the first braita rishona, ein la chelek, it has no distinction, bein baba machteret lederech hapetach. Doesn't matter how you come in. Doesn't matter if you come in through a tunnel or through an opening. De bechol gavna, in all situations, lo ba'i hatra'ah. You never need a warning. So the Magid Mishnah is saying that maybe the Rambam thinks that braita number 1 says all cases are the same. Braita number 2 says that a machteret disagrees as a machteret is a special case, and a machteret serves as a warning, but not other things. And the Rambam thinks, like braita number 1, that the word machteret isn't there to differentiate anything. It's simply a difference, that it simply says machteret because a tunnel is the more common approach. We'll have to continue in the third video, the end.